What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Boozer here. Thanks for stopping by. In today's video, we're going to be talking about one of the most scarce resources in this game, and it's going to be legendary books. We could also throw in mythical books there, but let's, for the sake of this video, talk about legendary books and how we can preserve it. The way we will preserve legendary books is by not booking certain champions. So in this video, we're going to be talking about some champions in the game right now that don't require books to fulfill the role that they need to fulfill. So let's jump right into it. All right, guys, so hopping into the index here. So let's start with the Banner Lords. So starting with the Banner Lords here, we have Stultus. Stultus, a defense-based damage-dealing champion. He's actually a decent damage-dealing champion. He has 2 AoEs in his kit, both on a 4-turn and 5-turn cooldown. Both are very good. He hits pretty good. He also self-buffs himself with his A3, but he actually doesn't require any books to have his passive work. And the way his passive can be utilized is against the Hard Dragon as well as the Nether Spider. But basically, whenever a poison lands on Stultus, the poison is reflected back to the attacker. So for Hard Dragon, he does not require any books for this passive to work. So if you just require Stultus to be the champion that reflects all of the dragon's poisons back onto it, just to deal damage and to kill the dragon as quickly as possible, then he doesn't need any books. You just use him for his passive, stick him on your team, get him to the dragon, and he will reflect a ton of damage against the dragon. So Stultus, very, very good champion. Of course, with books, he performs a lot better. He can be utilized in other ways, but here we're going to be talking about specific roles and how they don't need to be booked for that role. Moving on to the High Elves, we have Elenarl. Elenarl is actually a free login champion, I believe, with some new player promo codes. I don't have that promo code link or anything like that, but it's definitely hopping around, so you guys can check that out. Elenarl as a star champion is not bad because her main role is going to be dealing boss damage. Now, her kit revolves around poisons and detonating poisons. You can see here, deals damage from poisons instantly. Well, we're going to totally omit her A2 and A3 and just focus on her A1. Her A1 places an HP burn. It cannot be resisted, meaning that Elenarl does not require accuracy to place this, and she does not require any books to increase the chance of landing this. Therefore, her A1 always lands the HP burn regardless of how much book or accuracy she has. This makes her incredibly easy to build, especially for brand new accounts, and very book friendly. She doesn't need any books at all to land HP burn. So make sure you guys check her out, Elenarl, for the HP burn A1. Keeping with the same faction here, the High Elves, the other champion is Arbiter. Arbiter, once you get Arbiter, you probably might be close to hitting Ultra Nightmare, so you might have a better flow of books. But for Arbiter's purposes, mainly she is used for Arena, and you don't really need her to be booked. The big thing is having this ability booked down, Mentor of Heroes, so she gets her turn meter boost more often. But often, Arbiter, you only use the turn meter boost one time in the arena fight, and it is over. So for the Arbiter, you don't really need to book her out. Obviously, booking her out can be useful, but most of her books goes into the abilities that are not as important. So obviously, the A2 and the A3 and the A4 are the most important, but they also require the least amount of books. So for Arbiter, you don't really need to book her out unless you plan to use her in other areas as well. But strictly as a boost and win or boost and lose champion for the arena, she doesn't require any books at all. So moving on to the next faction here, we have Sill of the Drakes. So Sill of the Drakes, once you get her at the 180-day mark, it really depends how far you are in your progress, but for her, you can start off with no books. She gets better with books, but she doesn't necessarily need books. Her passive is very good. It gives you a little bit of a heal every turn she takes. And then applying books, you're going to get more stun chance and also more opportunities to stun with a lower cooldown. You also get reduced cooldown on her revive. However, you shouldn't need to revive that often. So most of the books you kind of want in this one or this one with a decreased speed, but she can definitely get by without any books, and she can still carry your team super, super hard without those books. So definitely give her a try there. After that, we have from the Skinwalkers, Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong actually is very decent without books. As a damage dealer, I definitely recommend books because, for example, his big hitting A2 gets quite a bit of damage from the books, plus 30%, as well as a cooldown reduction. But if you're going to use Sun Wukong as a perhaps buff strip champion, mainly focusing on his A3 to steal the buffs off and placing block buffs, then his A3 doesn't require any books to be useful. It doesn't require additional books to make the steal 100% or the block buffs 100%. So this ability perfectly lands as a unbooked skill. So you can definitely use him as your, for example, your buff strip champion on your arena team. So definitely very useful for Sun Wukong. Coming up next, we have from the Demon Spawn faction, one of the old goats here, Drexar. Drexar does not require books. Of course, books will make him more useful, obviously increasing his chance to provoke here and reducing cooldown as provokes. But a lot of the times, the big thing about Drexar is you just want him for his passive HP burn landing. Yes, books will increase the chance of him landing by 20%, but a 55% chance to land the HP burn is already somewhat decent. And as long as he can, get hit moderately and still survive those hits, he will probably land those HP burns without too much issue. So him without books, very, very useful. He can be your boss damage dealer for a lot of those hard, difficult bosses, especially in the Doom Tower. That's kind of where he's going to shine a bit, especially if you don't have many options. All right, sticking with the Demon Spawn faction, we have Prince Kymar. So if you've been lucky enough to pick up a Prince Kymar, he actually does not require books for some of the main roles that he plays. So one of the main roles that he plays is he is the reset champion on some of those speed dungeon teams. And basically what happens is when he takes a turn, he just uses this ability and that's it. He doesn't really need to do too much. He doesn't even need to be 60. He doesn't even need masteries. He just needs to be on those teams to reset, and then that's pretty much it. Die off. If you want to use him in other areas, obviously he can be very good as your arena buff strip champion or buff or CC crowd control champion. You can build him that way, but you don't really need him booked out just to be your dungeon reset champion. So really, really nice to have the Kymar unbooked and then just be able to throw him in a team and reset, for example, like a seer, and then just get the job done. All right, one more from Demon Spawn here. We have Mortu Macabre. So books in him will give him more damage and more chance to land his stuff, but honestly, his main focus will be his Peril level 1, his secret skill. So this only shows up after his first passive triggers it. So you have a 20% chance to unlock the secret skill. And then once this is unlocked, then you have this super crazy skill here. But none of this requires any books. That's the thing. With Mortu, he's really good. If you just want to focus on his Peril ability, you don't need any books in him, and he's going to be just as effective. Definitely a big standout there. And yeah, a lot of champions from the Demon Spawns. Moving on to the Undead Hordes, we have Ultimate Death Knight. So if you guys have Ultimate Death Knight, you definitely don't need him to have any books for him to be super, super effective in the arena. His passive makes it so that all the single target attacks will be directed to him. And if you have him in Stone Skin, he's just going to eat up all those hits. Having obviously extra chance to land fear on his A2, or having a faster cooldown or increased chance to provoke is obviously nice if you have extra books. But if you have him built really slow in a Stone Skin build for arena, you're not going to get too much opportunity to use these abilities anyway, so you're not getting that much value from the books. So for him, you can definitely not book him out, just use him as your arena wall and then get through the arena matchups with him unbooked. So huge shout out here to Ultimate Death Knight, great champion. And then last but not least, to round out our 10 champion suggestions here, we have Queen Eva. So Queen Eva, the special thing about her is that she's super, super strong as a campaign farmer. She brings multiple AoEs. She doesn't need to be booked to basically perform the role. She doesn't even need to be 60, and she doesn't even need masteries to be your campaign farmer. So she could do it as a 50 with kind of mediocre gear. She brings a crit rate in all battles aura, so it makes it easier to build her out with less crit rate, less than 100% crit rate. For example, both her A2 and her A3 has additional crit rate as well. So you only need to build her out with 66% crit rate, yeah, I believe. Yeah, 66% crit rate. So very easy to build out. No books necessary, no masteries necessary. So if you have her, try her out in as a campaign farmer. She is a little bit slower because of the animation speed. I believe she's about a 7 or 8 second campaign farmer instead of a 6 or 7 second campaign farmer. But for the gear investment and book investment, mastery investment, she is pretty easy to use. All right, guys, that's going to be it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that quick top 10 list of champions that don't require books to do whatever role you want them to do. But yeah, obviously these champions will be a lot better if you book them out, and obviously they can be used in other areas and in other roles. But for the roles that I specified in this video, they don't require books and they work perfectly fine. All right, guys, so thank you guys so much for watching. Appreciate your time as always. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have any special shout out champions that you guys don't book out and are perfectly good in whatever content you guys use them in. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.